Hello everyone, welcome to Sportstar. India has completed yet another ICC title. It has won. Rohit Sharma has secured his second title by beating New Zealand in the Champions Trophy final. So this is Pranay from Sportstar, and we have Dipak here who covered India's entire campaign right from the first game in the group stage to the final. Dipak, how do you summarize this particular win for India?
Clinical, surgical, precision, methodical. As simple as that. It was like basically what I'm just to sum it up. It's like you've seen those nerds in classrooms, right? Who they are fully prepared for everything. They study through the year, they prepare everywhere, and then they just come and ace the exams. And even if they take a time here and there, they still get the job done. This is the simplest way to sum up India's campaign. They prepared well, three matches against England, 3-0. They got their combinations right. They had a clear idea of what they wanted to do. Came here in Dubai. Simple strategy. They knew, and we all, I mean, obviously heading into the tournament, there is a lot of talk about whether India was taking too many spinners. But
Mhm.
lo and behold, once they came here, they've been proven right. So, I mean, all the five matches, very simple, very similar template. Third, between overs 10 to 40, get your spinners in, choke the opposition to a below par total, and then four out of the five games they chased down the totals just because they had that depth in the batting.
Yeah, so I was about to talk about Indian spin combination.
Yeah,
In hindsight, it makes sense that India played Axar Patel and Jadeja and
yeah,
also introduced Varun, although in the third game of the tournament.
yeah,
So the idea to bring in Axar Patel as a floater in the batting order, as probably as a permanent number five ahead of KL Rahul, how
yeah.
big of a decision was that of introducing Axar Patel as a more of a batting all rounder?
Uh, I'm not sure whether him coming at five actually transforms the batting order per se because I mean KL Rahul was at five and he's had a terrific record. I mean, to be fair to him, since 2019 when he started coming in the middle order to become a finisher, he's had a terrific record and he's won so many matches for India. Even during the 23 World Cup, we saw him and his averages is high 55s, close to 60 at a very impressive strike rate of considering that he comes in the middle overs. His strike rate is almost 100. It's not probably 100. Maybe it'll be 95. If you can just check the stats, we'll do it once. But that's a very impressive strike rate for a batsman batting at five. So in terms of he is not replacing someone who is not underperforming. So what Gautam Gambhir, and this is just a quirk of what Gautam Gambhir believes. He said it a couple of times that he believes this is how cricket should be played, which is have a bit of a left hand, right hand, because our
Mhm.
top order was too right heavy. So
Correct.
he firmly believes in having that left hander, and that's where Akshar comes in. And I think more than what his impact to the score, it's his own personal belief. I think Akshar has become a much better batsman, and batting at five has probably given him the confidence to showcase his ability. We saw that even during the T20 World Cup, even in the final, he's at three. I mean, similar situation, three down for nothing, and he played a very vital knock with Virat in that stage, which turned the tide for India in that World Cup final as well. So I think for more than what in terms of runs, I think it's a more personal vindication for Akshar in his own ability to bat higher up the order and to become a proper all-rounder in that sense.
Speaking about personal vindication, obviously Varun Chakravarthy has to have a separate conversation, considering
Yeah,
that his career almost ended right at this venue in 2021
exactly.
during the T20 World Cup. But now he's back into the ODI team. Took a fifer in the first game he play, first ODI ICC even he has ever played, and then played a crucial role in the final.
Yeah,
So speaking about Varun, you have seen him from close quarters.
yeah.
What has changed with Varun? How has he become really good, particularly in the ODI format, 50 over format?
I think as he himself put it, he's played. I think on only the last 2 3 years he's played Vijay Hazare a lot more. Vijay Hazare. I think by 2018 he played Vijay Hazare, but I don't think after that he was he was kind of in and out of the setup in Tamil Nadu. So ever since he's found a second win in terms of even his IPL career and T20, and he has kind of taken that forward. He's understood his own game. He spoke about how he's understood how to sequence his deliveries in a one day cricket compared to a T20 where you need a bit more patience at times. So sometimes you can wait for a few overs. You probably won't, even if you get hit a bit here and there, you can still send in a couple of quiet deliveries, build a certain momentum of just keeping the batsman tight, and then you can go for the kill. And that's what pretty much he has done it so far this in this. very short one-day career of his, he's been able to do that. I think it's similar. I mean, we saw him during the Vijay Hazare. He had a very good Vijay Hazare this year, 18 to 20 wickets. He got a fifer in the pre-quarter final, which Tamil Nadu obviously lost, but he showed that he was there, and you could get a sense speaking to some of in the team management, everything, that Varun was even at that point he was being considered for a spot in the Champions Trophy. We wrote a story on that as well. So I
Yeah, yeah.
think so. So I think Varun, yeah, I think great credit to him. It's a remarkable story. I mean, as you said, 2021. This is where his at that point everyone thought pretty much his career started and ended there, and to come back to the same venue, get those 5 wickets, and I mean, amazing. The control he had, the pace variation. I think the fact that he's able to get the ball to dip at that such high pace, which doesn't give the batsman enough time to adjust to it. I mean, Glenn Phillips found it out twice in a span of 1 week. He got LBW once with a googly, and yesterday he got cleaned up all ends up with a googly, taking his middle some completely missed it. So I think it's been a great tournament, and what a brave decision to get him into the 11 at
Yeah.
the start.
Another personal arc which we should touch upon, I think, is about Shreyas Iyer. He has had an incredible 2 year. He performed
Yeah,
incredibly well in the ODI World Cup,
World Cup.
then got phased out of the team, then made a comeback, then was almost kicked out of the team just over a month ago, but only because of an injury to Virat Kohli, he was brought back into the team, and then he assured his spot there in that Nagpur game, I think so, against the first ODI
Yeah,
against India.
correct. Exactly. He
And
got a
he
quick
had
50 there.
an all-time season, all-time campaign in Champions Trophy. He finished as the second highest run getter, crucial runs in almost all games.
Every game, yes.
Like, is this does this seal Shreyas Iyer's spot in the ODI team for at least for the next 2 years?
I don't think it ever should have been in doubt to begin with. I mean, I cannot believe that he was even being considered to be dropped for that first game in Nagpur. I mean, if not for Virat's last minute injury. So I mean, he's done everything that has been asked of him, and he has done it under pressure now in this last three, because in that England series also he got a 50 in the first game. India were two down early in that match. If you remember, in Nagpur, India lost two early wickets, Rohit and Jaiswal, and he took on the fast bowlers, English fast bowlers. There's always this perception that he can't play bouncers. I think he's gotten better at that. We saw that in that first game in Nagpur, where he pulled Jofra Archer for a couple of 1-6 down the ground and one ramped over third man. And more importantly, Shreyas Iyer, what we all know is he's a great player of spin, and he's proved his weight in gold in this 5 matches, because
Mhm.
in every game during the middle overs, he has had the conviction and the ability and the skill to take on the spinners every time the pressure was creeping up, including yesterday. Every time the asking rate crept up, he was able to back himself to step out or pull or hit down the ground and get those sixes and fours and reduce the pressure on everyone else. And even in the Pakistan game, he did the same. He did the same thing where he soaked up all the pressure of taking on the spinners while Virat was playing the seamers. He did the bulk of the scoring against the spinners in that game as well. So I think Shreyas Iyer, I think, yeah, as you said, I don't think he has to worry about his spot in the ODI for the near future at least. Yes.
Now that we have touched upon the final, it was a very interesting tactical or strategic battle. As in, India had the early advantage. New Zealand dragged themselves back into the game. Bracewell scoring the crucial 50. Not Phillips playing a cameo.
Playing a
Daryl
cameo,
Mitchell
yeah.
helping.
Yeah,
Daryl
Daryl
Mitchell
Mitchell
playing
playing
a
a
very patient knock. Very
uncharacteristic innings.
uncharacteristic. Yeah, correct.
Exactly. Exactly.
So and then I think they re-evaluated their priorities. They decided, okay, let's go for a 250 run total and then
Yeah.
try to defend it. And
Defend it. Yeah.
the way India started, Rohit's innings, how
Yeah.
crucial was that in the overall scheme of things?
I think Rohit has been, ever since he became the white ball captain and 3 years ago, Rohit has refashioned the way Indian cricket has approached white ball, be it in T20s or ODI cricket, and he has led from the front, in the sense that he's, even at the cost of putting a lesser price on his own wicket, he's gone. He said, let me show the way how white ball because England has taken the game to a next level. We have to, either you have to follow suit and keep up with them, or you'll be left behind. So Rohit has done that, and I think more than the T20, I mean, in bits in parts of T20 World Cup, but more than the ODI World Cup, I think his approach here actually made more value to the team, because, as I said, run scoring was not easy once the power play ended, the first power play ended where you have four fielders and the ball becomes soft, and on these surfaces it became very difficult. So every run he scored in the power play was vital, and he's every game actually he had a quiet tournament. He didn't have a 50 until the final, but even in those initial games, whatever 30, 40, 28 that he got, he's been able to get it at a very quick rate, and that kind of sets the momentum. Especially when you see every even in Bangladesh game, we were in a spot of bother 160 out for 4 or 5. Pakistan game, it could have gone either way. And all those, when you see, when you calculate at the end of it, all those runs he scored in the power play, putting the pressure on the opposition, that has actually proved very vital towards the end. I mean, those small margins that allows someone like a Virat and Shreyas to not take risks during the middle overs because the asking rate has never crept up beyond 6. So I think he's shown the way, and I mean, at the cost of putting a lesser price on his wicket, I think he and his approach here, I think he found the maximum value for that approach here on these surfaces where the ball was it was not easy to score during the middle overs.
I know we can keep talking about India for another half an hour or for a
Yeah,
very long time, but we
yeah,
have to touch upon New Zealand. Good campaign except for the two defeats against India.
yeah,
But one big factor which decided the fate of the match possibly was Matt Henry's injury. Matt
yes,
Henry ended up as the leading wicket taker with I think 10
10
wickets.
wickets. Yeah,
Yeah. Do you think Matt Henry's presence would have maybe brought the game even more closer
I
in the
think
final?
I think yeah I think even in that first game when they bowled first, the Kiwi Pacers they were able to get the ball moving. I think I don't think any other fast bowling unit through this Dubai leg were able to get the same amount of movement that especially what Matt Henry was able to do in that first spell when he did that. So I think he could have been a really and he's evolved his game as a ODI bowler as well. So I think that was a huge miss for and his replacement Nathan Smith he got whacked. I mean to be
Yeah.
frank, he got whacked in those 2 overs when Rohit was going hammer and tongs. So that puts them on the back. When you're defending 250, when you concede about 70 runs in the power play, then it just becomes that much easy for the batting team to pace themselves and back themselves to even say score as New Zealand scored almost 80 in the last 10. India would have also backed themselves with wickets in hand. They would have backed themselves to do that to a similar thing in the end. So I think New Zealand missed Matt Henry a big time there. Their spinners, they I mean, we knew end of the day if there was one team that was going to stop India, it had to be New Zealand just because man to man, these two teams are very, very similarly matched. Great
Mm.
openers, Rachin, Rohit, Shubman, I mean Will Young, both Will Young and Rachin had centuries in the league stages. Rachin had it in the semi-final as well. Then you had someone like Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson, and then you had like the skillful Phillips, Mitchell, Bracewell, compared very similar to the Indian lineup as well. So I think man to man, this was a very equally side. And similarly, spin options, they had four spinners as well. Two left arm spinners, a right arm off spinner, two couple of off spinners as well. Yes, they missed a wrist spinner, but I think very man to man, and also they probably had a better pace attack as well because they
Mm.
they could play three paces and still have the number of all rounders and the balance. So I think yeah, it was just one of the. I think India in the end, just India's depth, especially in the spin bowling department. That's where on these pitches the spinners dominated, and that's where India had that slight edge to paper ahead in the end.
Yeah, one another factor obviously we have to talk about is one thing which people will remember about this Champions Trophy in addition to India's dominance is New Zealand's fielding, particularly Glenn Phillips. The number of
Yeah.
screamers, absolute screamers he has taken in just in this particular tournament is probably what an average player will take in his career.
Yeah,
Including
exactly.
yesterday, Glenn Phillips took a really really good
That
catch.
Shubman Gill catch, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and watching it live was one of the most surreal experience of fielding I've ever seen in the last 10 years of I've covered cricket. I think that catch was, I mean, I think it was even better than what the Virat Kohli catch, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, but watching it live, I think comparing these two, I think yesterday's catch was even unbelievable anticipation to time the jump to perfection. I think the Virat, at least it was kind of a hit or a miss in the sense that you hope it sticks. But this one, he just anticipated jumping up vertically. I mean, unbelievable. And those are the things that actually it's worth the ticket price to say the least. Actually, it's not often you say for fielding efforts, but yeah, unbelievable
Uh,
fielding effort, and yet they lost. They did drop a few catches in the end.
yeah, true, true.
We're
But
very
but my
underpriced.
question to you is, like, do you rate Glenn Phillips as the best fielder of this generation? Like, I know Jadeja is there, best fielder. Like, where do you rank
Yeah,
Jadeja and Phillips?
I think yeah, Glenn Phillips will be right up there. I think I don't think after, especially after this tournament, it'll be hard to look past anyone other than Glenn Phillips to be the top ranked fielder going in world cricket. I think it would take some real guts. I don't think I have the guts to find out anyone who's better than this. I mean,
Yeah,
unbelievable fielding and also the ground fielding as well.
yeah, true,
Incredibly
true.
athletic. And the catching is one part, the ground fielding. I think Jadeja is extremely good at that. The way he covers the boundary, the ropes, and the deep, how he covers ground, how he cuts angles. Those are things Jadeja is very good at. But yeah, Glenn Phillips, just for the acrobatic nature, yeah, for now, I think he's
Prob
probably the best. And also, he's like
Probably,
28. So hmm.
yeah, probably Phillips for catching and Jadeja for
Jadeja
the
for
run
ground
out.
fielding, probably that and
Yeah,
rocket arm. I don't think
okay.
because Phillips largely patrols the inner circle, you don't get to see how good he is actually on the ropes because New Zealand have like really good fielders on the ropes. Even the fast bowlers are move very swiftly across. Like even here,
Yeah.
someone like Henry is really good in the outfield from what I saw.
Trent Bolt, all of them are pretty good
Yeah,
fielders.
pretty good. Yeah,
And
exactly. Will Young,
even
Darren
Williamson took a
Mitchell.
couple of really good catches this
Yeah, and
tournament.
Darren
One
Mitchell is
diving to
also
the left.
quite good. And yesterday, he had
Mm.
an off day. He dropped he kind
Mm.
of I don't think he needed to jump for that.
Even
So
Jamieson dropped a very simple
Jay
catch
said that
to the
but it
deep.
didn't
Yeah.
cost them in the
Uh,
context of the game, 4 runs, 44 and 48. So I don't think that cost them much. But yeah, in such tiny margins, maybe you never know. I mean,
mm.
this for no reason they
Yeah.
say catches twin matches.
New Zealand, this is probably I think they lost the 2015 final, 2019 final again.
19 final
Controversially, they lost the ODI World Cup, the two
in
World Cup finals they
T20
lost, and T20, and
T20.
then now
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
And except for the WTC final, they have
yeah,
lost. They
yeah.
have come very close to winning
Close.
ICC
Yeah,
title, and then just missed out on it.
yeah,
And particularly considering that this is sort of like an end of a generation, Williamson getting
exactly.
into the last phase of his career.
Yeah.
Do you think New Zealand will look back at this particular phase of their trajectory and say, look at it with regret that they could have possibly won more?
They could have won, but also I think they've run into some really good teams as well. I think, yeah, 2019, I think they probably had the edge there. I think that the quirk of the rule kind of, and they still should have sealed that game even without going into the super over. I think that,
Mm.
but against this game, I wouldn't say you couldn't make a case for them to saying that they're the best side. India was by far the best side of the competition. I think New Zealand kind of hit a ceiling. I mean, the difference was very minute, but there was a difference. There was a difference, the gulf in quality, at least for these conditions. On maybe on a slightly truer surface the where it was not so skewed towards spinners, New Zealand probably might have had a chance. And also, I think I, I don't know about the team combinations, but I kind of feel they missed a wrist spinner, quick leg spinner who can hurry the batters.
Mm.
Because if you see in the last couple of years, last year at least in ODI cricket, India has struggled against that kind of bowlers, the leg spinners, like we saw, or those left arm spinners who fire it in like we saw in Sri Lanka, Dunit Vallalage, Jeffrey Van Der Sey came one game and took 6, 7 wickets. Hasaranga, Charit Asalanka, all those guys. So maybe a good wrist spinner could have probably bridged that gap as well there. I think
Mm.
in both these games they had one spinner who kind of an off day kind of thing. Yesterday was
Mm.
Phillips, that day it was Bracewell who got hit. So maybe they missed a one wrist spinner, maybe someone like Nish Sodhi. I don't know how much impact, but probably you're always better off having a slight more variety in your attack, which is where
Yeah.
India was very lucky. They had a
Mm.
wrist spinner, they had two left arm orthodox of extremely different styles, different heights, and then the mystery spin of Varun. So
And you have
it's a
Varun,
great
who you can't define.
how you can define. You can see him as a leg spinner, wrist spinner, off spinner, whatever. I mean, he gets a couple of googlies that turn like an off break, and he also gets a few leg breaks going so, every now and then. So you never know. Like Will Young found one, missed on straight leg break yesterday. So
Mm.
I think India had that just that overall mix. They're the better, and the quality of spinner as well. And
It
Jadeja,
also helps
his
that
300 test wickets.
Jadeja and Akshar are practically batters who can bat anywhere in the batting order.
Exactly. And genuine all-rounders, and Jadeja is a brilliant. I mean, he's got 300 test wickets. So I think 300. Yeah, I think he should have 300 test wickets. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that shows the caliber of him as a just as a bowler as well.
So yeah, one final topic which we have to talk about, the cricket world has been talking about for the last 2 weeks. Did India get an undue advantage by playing all their games in Dubai? I'm keeping this for the last because it will help our editor to cut it out if it's.
uh, undue ad India did India have an advantage? Yes, they did. Is it an undue advantage? I don't know. I mean, it's a very tricky thing, no? It's just the quirk of draw. This is what everyone was up to. Everyone signed up to this. Everyone knew that India was going to be based in Dubai. So post facto, whether how much, yes, everyone knew that India was going to have this advantage even before the tournament. They didn't have to travel. They knew where they're going to play. And
Mhm.
obviously, if you're based in a city, you will have a better read of the conditions. As simple as that. I mean, I don't know. Is it undue? I don't know because everyone signed up to it. So you can't.
Mhm.
And that's what as even Sitanshu Kotak said in the pre-match, just on the eve of the final, 2 days before the final, he said once you can't complain once that yes, once the team starts winning, you cannot make excuses and things like that. It's up to the powers to be. If the teams had any objection, they should have raised it at the high before the tournament, not after the tournament. Yes,
And
obviously there no. I think at the same time, it wouldn't be fair for anyone to dismiss that they had an advantage.
correct.
To claim that, yeah, yes, it is not a home ground for India. That is true. But being there helps. Yes, you trained at the academy where the pitches are different, but that doesn't mean you didn't have an advantage because every game you play, you get a fair inkling of the understanding the surface, how it behaves, and it was a pretty uniform. And more importantly, I think more than the advantage, at what I think was India prepared for these surfaces. They
Mhm.
got their team combination exactly spot on for these surfaces.
Mhm.
Probably the other
Right.
teams couldn't afford that luxury of picking a team just for one type of surfaces, which they
Mhm.
had because in Pakistan it was all batting beauties, featherbeds, pretty much highway wickets where you could score 350 and chase it down as Australia did in that game against England. Probably yes, but it's okay. But that's how sometimes the quirk of competitions. That's how it works. So I don't think we need to read too much into it. I mean,
And of
we
course,
shouldn't deny it.
there are questions about the scheduling and the traveling for particular teams coming from Pakistan to Dubai,
Yeah, the
Dubai to Pakistan.
scheduling was a bit weird. Yeah, I don't know, but
Mm.
I think that is also driven by the economics of cricket.
Economic.
You want an India game on Sundays, so which meant that the New Zealand game had to be played on a Sunday, which meant
Mhm.
the semi-final had to be played on. Maybe they could have pushed the semi-final a day later instead of playing
Yeah.
it on 4 and 5, playing it on 5 and 6. Could have spaced out,
Mhm.
but the downside is a team coming into the final would have the team playing the second semi-final would have like only one day of travel and one day of practice instead of 2 days of
Mhm.
practice that New Zealand had. But anyway, New Zealand
Correct.
eventually didn't practice for 2 days actually. They just trained on the
Mhm.
so it didn't make a huge difference. But yeah, maybe that's the only scheduling they could have probably been a bit more smart. Played 5 and 6 instead
Sure.
of 4 and 5.
Yeah.
I think that every you always learn from all these things. But yeah, but it was not. It definitely was not the most ideal setup for a tournament of this caliber. Yeah, because you don't want all these talks to hog the limelight over the actual happenings on the cricket field. So we want
Yeah.
to keep it on restrict to that on what's happening on the field. And there are enough great great matches through this tournament, including Afghanistan's win over England.
Mhm. So yeah, thank you, Deepak. It was a very
Thank
insightful
you.
conversation. I hope
Thank
the
you very much.
viewers also feel the same way. So this was a great tournament, and I think the next ICC event is next year, the T20 World Cup, right?
Yes, correct. India and Sri Lanka.
India and Sri Lanka. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for watching. Please follow Sportstar across all social media platforms and our website for more updates on cricket and Indian cricket. Thank you.
Thank you.